What's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today is basically, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even 100% as to what I even want to call this. It's gonna kind of be a little bit of a story time slash labor and delivery thing. How I found out I was pregnant, that whole thing. I didn't really want to call it a story time or labor and delivery video, but whatever. Be that as it may. Let's get started. So, obviously, from the first video, I have a 5-month-old daughter. So this was last year, basically, when I found out I was pregnant. It was about, I guess you could say, August or so. I was in denial. I was at work, of course, going to the bathroom a lot. That was pretty much it, honestly. I didn't really have a whole bunch of symptoms at first to be like a big indicator, on top of that, my periods are always kind of off. They've always been off. I've never had a regular period in my life. Came down to it, I think one particular day I didn't go to work or something like that. I wasn't feeling my best, but again, 2 and 2, it was not registering. There was a disconnect. Okay, I didn't go to work. I was sick, and I think I had told myself okay, end of the week I'm gonna get a test or whatever. And I think I ended up missing work on a Monday, so I was telling myself by that Friday I would have gotten a pregnancy test. I missed work that day, and for some reason I was just like, you know what, no, let me go get a test today and just kind of see what's going on. Because at that point, yes, I lied. There was a big indicator. I had missed my period, but again, my periods were always irregular, so I didn't really think nothing of it. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just go ahead, because like I said, at this point I had missed my period and I had been going to the bathroom a lot. But I'm like, okay, I went to the dollar store because I'm like,
I am not about to spend $30 for a pregnancy test that's negative.
I went to the dollar store and got one, went back home, took it. I was very anxious and kind of but at the same time I was so like no, that's not it at all, but we're just gonna take the test just to rule it out. So I'm waiting, for the little line or negative whatever to show. So I sit it down for a second, I walked away, I came back. It was a line. It was a noticeable line. It was faint, but it was noticeable, and I walked away for a second and literally walked right back to it. So it wasn't a whole bunch of time that passed, so that means the line popped up immediately. So I'm like, positive? At this point, I think it was just, I was overwhelmed with a lot of different emotions. It was kind of like the Twilight Zone. I'm what? Not me. I was like, okay, well, it says positive, so I kind of just went with it, like I said, because in my head I was still in denial. I'm like, no, can't be. I think the next day or something like that, I basically went and got another one. And when I got it, I was like, okay, instead of me playing, I'm just going to get 2. So I basically purchased 2. So in total, I took 3. So I went home, took those off top. Immediately, it showed positive. There were still faint lines, but every time I took a test, you could see that it was gradually a little bit more, it was darker each time. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? But I'm like, oh my gosh. So at this point, I'm still in denial. I am still in denial. I'm like, okay, I got these tests from the dollar store.
They're faulty. They're fake. People are just buying fake pregnancy tests at dollar stores. They gotta be.
And I actually still have the test, so I will show you. But I'm like, no way. And I don't want this to be gross or anything, but I just happen to just keep them all. Now, of course, at this time, they've been sitting, so the lines have progressively gotten darker. But when I first took the test, they were faint lines over time. So this one is the first one that I took. Here's the second one that I took. And then the third. So I got my answer, okay? That point on, I'm not even gonna say I accepted it, because I still was in denial. On the cool, I was still in denial. So I text, my boyfriend at the time. I text him, gave him the information, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, this, that, and the third. He said he knew anyways, but I'm like, whatever. At this point, I went ahead and basically made my doctor's appointment, blah, blah, blah. I think it was like a couple days later or whatever. Still in denial. Like a week or two had passed at this point, all this stuff. I was so anxious, I guess, to try to figure out what was what. So I set up an appointment at a free clinic because it was too soon for me to make a doctor's appointment for me to actually go and get a test done there. Eventually, I basically went to the little free clinic. They confirmed it as well. So I think I stopped being in denial once I got the information from them, some strangers, to say, hey, yeah, there's like a little shrimp baby in there. The ultrasound and everything. I have the ultrasound. It's actually back there, but I'm not gonna get it. So, but she was like a little tiny bean. I was like 5 weeks. So I was like, oh my God. Anyways, so that's how I found out I was pregnant. Yeah. And quite honestly, even though I think I started to accept it a little bit more each day, I think I was in denial up until I started to show, because I'm like, there is no way there's a little bitty baby inside of me. Like, no. Oh, and just let me tell you, here it is. I guess at that point I was 26 years old. I was terrified, like I was 12, to tell my mom and family about me being pregnant. I was like, oh my gosh. But when I told my mom, she really didn't even trip like that. Like, of course, you know, she was concerned. She was a concerned mother, but she didn't give me a hard time about it. It is what it is. Jumping to my labor and delivery, basically, the day of me having her, I had a regular doctor's appointment. It was on a Monday because she was born April 9th. It was on a Monday. And I went to my doctor's appointment. You know, everything was, you know, kind of just routine at that point up until me getting in the room. And of course, you know, they take your blood pressure, you know, the urine sample, the whole nine. She checked my blood pressure and my blood pressure was high. My blood pressure has never been high in my life. She's like, well, are you ready to have a baby? Is that a real question? Like, no. Who's ready to have a baby? And mind you, I had been scared to death of going into labor. Like, of course, like, I don't know what to expect. I don't do well with pain. I didn't want to, you know, undergo, like, no surgery. Like, as far as a C-section, like, I'm like, no. But at the same time, I was ready for it to be over because, you know, I was 9 months pregnant at this point. Granted, I knew that with my blood pressure being high, I knew I was going to have to go. So she went ahead, did my paperwork, so we can go ahead and get me checked into the hospital, which was my doctor is actually like around the corner from the hospital, so it's like it was walking distance. So we left from the doctor's appointment and literally walked across the street to the hospital, got checked in, got the room, did the whole nine. She had been in perfect position up until that day, and all of a sudden she basically was how she was positioned, basically her head was up. She was, you know, low and stuff like she should have been. Like, she wasn't breached or anything, but her head was positioned up. Every time that I would get checked or something like that, and they would, you know, the doctor's fingers or hand would basically be touching her head, and it was bad because it was bruising her forehead and caused like a little like knot in her head. So nevertheless, because of her positioning and I wasn't dilating as quick as I should have been, I had to have a C-section. And let me just tell you, I didn't even have my doctor. My particular doctor ended up like, she had some other plans or something, because she didn't show up for you, girl. Like, you've been there with me all these months, and then this is when I need you the most, and you just gonna check out? Girl, no. So it was a whole nother doctor or whatever. She comes in, gives me the news, hey, look, you're not dilating in her position, so if we let you have her normal, it's gonna hurt you and it's gonna hurt her, so we're just gonna have to basically cut you open, and it's time to start the show. I'm like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, I was so ready, and I didn't want to endanger her or myself or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, well, it is what it is. Start taking jewelry off, start signing papers, you know, blah, blah, blah. Then next thing you know, they're wheeling me off and I'm in the room. Yeah, basically, I didn't have a clue what to expect. I was scared and nervous, like, and on top of the epidural, which makes you shake, I was like, what? And also, too, just in the mindset of like, oh my God, I'm about to have a baby. Oh my God, I'm about to have a baby. And I'm about to be cut open and I'm about to have a baby. But it was just a lot. Whatever. I got through it. Thank you, Lord. yeah, it was pretty crazy. And let me just tell you, when they took her out and they showed her to me, so you know it's the little curtain, you know, that's there. They showed her to me over the curtain, so they kind of had to put it down a little bit. So me laying down, you know, the light is over me, so I can see the reflection in the light. I happened to look up, I saw nothing but red, and off top I was like, oh no, because I'm queasy and I don't like open bodies, I don't like blood, I don't like I'm not here for it. So I had to like quickly distract myself, and the whole time I'm like laying on the table and I'm just like, and I'm like humming to myself. I was talking to myself. Anesthesiologist was probably like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, I'm like, look, I'm trying to cope, mind your business. So now we go into postpartum. I don't really have much to say about that, honestly, except for the fact that, of course, yes, having a baby is hard. Yes, being a mother is hard, and especially those first few weeks and the first few months is very crucial. I was on my maternity leave, so, you know, after like a week or so, I was by myself at the house with her. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what first time mom knows what they're doing? Extremely exhausted. I'm just all of the above. I didn't have postpartum depression, but I did have I guess what they call the baby blues. So I mean, I felt very like overwhelmed and sad and alone and stuff like that, because I was doing it by myself. I am doing it by myself. Don't get me wrong, I had my family's help, but like I said, I was on my maternity leave. I was home by myself with her. On top of the fact, I had a C-section, so I had, you know, I was trying to heal and get past that. It was just a lot. It was a lot, but I kind of had to just find ways to keep myself, I guess, busy and keep myself positive and upbeat, and just kind of keep that whole mentality and mindset, basically, you know, to get up, go take a shower, go get up and walk, go just do something, basically, so I can kind of have my time to myself, or, you know, and get help from family and stuff like that. But it was hard. It still is hard. Like I said, she's 5 months, so it's still in that beginning stage, but I'm glad and thankful that she's not like a newborn, you know. Kind of, I don't want to say I rushed through that, but I feel like I kind of like, I don't know, but I think you guys get it. It was my pregnancy, labor and delivery, postpartum story, kind of thrown all together for you guys. That's pretty much it. And I plan on kind of doing maybe some other like postpartum like questions, and maybe like some kind of how I dealt with that part a little bit more. Now she's here. I love her to death. She is me. She looks just like me, especially when I was a baby. Continue to share my content, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. The coworker that you don't want to talk to when you go to work tomorrow, yeah, tell them about the video. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.